van and I. So this was a part of the shoot that I was really looking forward to, because previously I had filmed swimmers from a kayak. I rigged up a GoPro on a pole that was sort of threaded through the elastic straps on the top deck. And what that enabled me to do was to actually get the camera off to the side of the boat and get some tracking shots of her with the camera just above the water as she swam, and that was brilliant. They were going from Ambleside to Bowness, and then the following day they would go from Bowness to Felford. I went about halfway and then had to turn around before it got too dark, because I needed to get back to Ambleside, get the boat off the water, get back in the van, get down to Bowness, ready to film them coming ashore. Must be about 9:30, maybe a little bit later. Did a bit of filming, managed to run Joanne over by accident. One thing I will say though, I am hungry. Morning. It's 5 o'clock. I was awake at 4 o'clock this morning, just after. Joanne's getting an early start today. Very good spirits actually when she came out, and she came out this end about 11 o'clock. Actually gone 11 o'clock because I went to get a pizza at 11 o'clock. I've lost track of time completely. I think it's Friday. I don't care. After Joanne set off, I zipped down to Felford to get on the water again. It was one of those mornings that you just feel glad to be alive, I guess. Sounds a bit cheesy, but it was utterly beautiful. The water was still, the sun was out, it was just stunning on Windermere. So I paddled down. I could have just paddled around, to be honest. It was wonderful, but work to do. By the time we reached Snowdonia, the weather had really sorted itself out, and we were set for great conditions until the end of the trip. By this time, I was just desperate to get into the mountain, to get at least one shot of John in his natural environment, and this was the last possible day to do it. At one point I thought I'd missed his schedule, and then, like a guardian angel, he appeared just over the crest in his inimitable style, super minimalist. Today, because the weather's nice, shorts, walshes, small rucksack and water, and that's it pretty much. And having slogged up the side of the mountain for a lot longer than I'd like to admit, I've got an immense amount of respect for the man. On the trek down, I had a bit of a unique experience, because it was something I'd never seen or come across before in the mountains. And it was actually a couple of people who were actually asleep on the path, blocking the whole path. I had to walk all around them. They didn't stir, didn't move, didn't seem to think it was strange at all. And I've never experienced that before, and probably will never experience it again. Then when I got back to the van, disaster. Come down off the mountain to find we've got a very nearly flat rear tyre, and I can't get the bolts undone for the spare tyre. So I've had to call the AA, and I'm going to miss the handover now. The AA man got me sorted pretty quickly, if I'm honest, but I really wasn't happy with the aesthetic. The next morning at the RV point for the swim, it was just divine. I got there really early, had some breakfast, cooked up a brew, waited for the others to arrive, but the lake just looked beautiful. It was another one of those mornings, you know. Everything was really, really still, and this actually turned into being probably one of the nicest bits of background / action filming that I did, because as we were travelling down the lake, tracking Joanne, the scenery was just giving and giving the whole time. The footage I was getting just looked absolutely fabulous. The light was perfect. The water was like glass. I think it was about 2/3 of the way down, I got what for me was the shot of the trip, without a shadow of a doubt. There was the crystal clear water with Joanne just swimming through it, backlit, and I love that shot. Once Joanne had finished the lake, it was down to Richard, and this was kind of another one of those transition days. The drive down through Wales was just idyllic. The key thing was actually staying in contact with Rich most of the time, because he was having a whale of a time. He was dropping chain gangs that were trying to take him on one of the climbs. I think he was just enjoying the ride, actually. So we just kept leapfrogging each other, really, all the way down through mid Wales, and eventually we came to Monmouth. I had a pretty good idea of where I wanted to go, looking at the road map, but Monmouth had other ideas, and I think I did about 3 laps of the town centre. So eventually I figured out the motoring puzzle that is Monmouth and managed to get on the road down to the Wye Valley, and then find a nice spot to get ready for another set piece where he would come over a bridge and ride past. Beautiful it was, lovely location. But then we all regrouped, just the Welsh side of the Severn Bridge, the old Severn Bridge. And then when we got to the other side, went into the services, and there was a travel lodge. And I have to say, I did succumb and go into the travel lodge. I needed a shower, I needed to charge my batteries, usual thing, you know the story. Charging batteries, washing. Today was a big ride for Rich. He was going to ride all the way from just south of the Severn Bridge, from the Severn services. He was going to ride all the way from there down to Weybridge in Cornwall. Yes, I know. Rich pressed on, I pressed on, we both pressed on together. And then we went our separate ways at Bridgewater, because I had a certain thing that I needed to sort out. It was bugging me. It was the aesthetic of the van needed to be sorted out. That really shabby spare wheel had to go. To be honest, I'd had about a day and a half with that wheel on the van, and that was all it was going to be. Well, that was a bit of a mad dash up from Simon's Bath, or Simmons Bath, not quite sure how you say it, to get to the top of the hill, to get a shot of Richard climbing up the hill. But the only available parking was about 200 metres further on from the vantage point, so I'm just mindful how fast that guy goes on a bike, even uphill. Just walking back up to the van now. Meanwhile, we're at the top of the hill. I'm sure Richard is probably in Barnstable by now. Once I got back to the van and got my stuff together and got back on the road, I pulled over just to check my route, and a police car pulled up alongside, and they said, a couple of nice guys in the police car, and they said, "Are you lost?" I said, "Is it that obvious?" And they said, "Yes. Would you like us to lead you down? Where are you trying to get to?" So I told them where I was trying to get to, and they said, "Well, follow us. We'll follow us. We'll lead you down." And then ensued what I can only describe as a car chase, except it was quite strange, really, because I was the one doing the chasing. Never actually chased a police car before, but they seemed quite intent on getting me down quickly, I think is the best way to say. Rich, later on, thought they were just having a bit of fun with a lost boy in the hills, and it was like, come on, we'll show him. At this point, I made a tactical decision, decided to get some shots of the coast, and I'm really glad I did, because it was stunning. Then I headed back inland, got some shots of the Cornish landscape, and it was stunning. All the while I thought I was going to bump into Richard at some stage, but it never actually happened. And I just went into Weybridge, found a nice campsite, had a bit of a brew, got myself sorted out a little bit, took a stroll down into town, wandered around a bit, it was really nice, had some fish and chips, they were really nice. I really quite like Weybridge actually, it's a nice place to be. Captain's log, stardate. West Cornwall, the final frontier. Final day, and I could tell Rich was just itching to get on. So the next RV was Cape Cornwall, and again, another place I'd never been to before. Fascinating place. There was the nice little lump with the sticky up bit on it, whatever that is. And then what I was informed by Marge was a near perfect likeness of Charles de Gaulle lying in the bath, which was the outcrop of rocks in the sea. And I can see her point. So John was going to run from Cape Cornwall to Sennan Cove. And then from Sennan Cove, everybody together would walk to Land's End. I thought this is a really nice way to finish the trip. And then it kind of hit me that this was it. This was the end of the trip. It was a bit sad, really. Of course, like you do, the champagne was passed round. That bottle of fizz was the only fuss that was made the whole 10 days. There was no drama, no egos. And I think for me that really, really summed it up. That this little bottle of bubbly at Land's End, no fanfare, that was it. The guys were staying on in Sennan for a bit, but I'd been on the road for nearly 2 weeks by then, and I needed to head home. So we said our goodbyes, and I made a beeline for Penzance. It was a hot day, and I was intent on having a dip. But when I got there, it was a bit cold, really, so I didn't bother. This is the final view from my bedroom window. You kind of forget when you just go about your day-to-day business in the place you live how stunning this land is. And it's only when you kind of get out there and just lose yourself in it with no plan, no pattern. And it's when you're in that kind of mindset, you can actually just really start to immerse yourself in the journey and in the landscapes around you. Just adopt that nomadic lifestyle, you know, just start the trip, no plans, where you end up, that's where you stop. And you just enjoy what's around you, because if you think I've got to be at that hotel by 6 o'clock, or I've got to get to that place, we've got to pick up the keys for the bed and breakfast at this time, whatever it is, you're then kind of nailing yourself to this post that you've got to carry around with you, which is deadlines, it is responsibility. And the great thing about this, as I found, is I felt that if I find a campsite, great. If I don't, well, I'm just going to find a safe, nice place to stop where I don't interfere with anybody, and I'm just going to sleep. And that is really, really liberating.